in a town where the sky met the earth. Furthermore, where customs were pretty much as old as the murmuring baobab trees, there carried on with a lady named Amina was captivating. Her eyes were dim pools of astuteness, and her giggling had the ability to make the sternest senior grin. Yet in spite of her excellence and appeal, she stayed unmarried, burnt out on her isolation, and frantic to find a spouse. Amina counseled the prophet, a shriveled elderly person named Nia, who could collective with the predecessors, in a cottage that possessed an aroma like spices and old scrolls. Nia talked, "Kid, your fate is not at all like whatever other the one who fathers your youngster will turn into the leader of this town, and his rule will bring unrivaled, thriving, charmed, and encouraged." Amina formulated an extreme arrangement. She would lay down with each qualified man in the town this way. She contemplated she wouldn't just track down her predetermined spouse, yet additionally secure the best future ruler for her kin. As weeks transformed into months, the town started to buzz with reports. Amina's whimsical quest for a spouse turned into the discussion at each gathering around each fire. At last, Amina ended up with youngster. She was brilliant, hair toomy round, and full, a living demonstration of the prescience as her due date moved toward strain. Thickened in the ire, every family with a qualified child started to guarantee the unborn kid as their own, laying their stake to what's in store. Clan leader transport in this maelstrom. Amina brought forth a sound child, kid. The town cheered, yet the happiness was short-lived, for the following issue was prompt, and it was the disqueeze who father of this youngster destined to run. Elderly folks gathered spouses, mettled champions, honed their lances. Everybody had a hypothesis, and each man needed a test. The town was near the precarious edge of a common war, and just the genuine, recognizable proof of the youngster's dad could bring harmony. Yet Amina remained calmly sure. She knew that the prediction wouldn't bomb her, nor would it bomb her. Individuals thus, with her infant child supported in her arms, she anticipated the disclosure that would change the destiny of her town. Perpetually 7 days had passed since the introduction of Amina's child, whom she named Tariq, meaning he who thumps at the entryway. It appeared like Tar was for sure thumping at the entryway of another period for the town, one loaded with vulnerability, also expectation. The committee of older folks, the regarded body answerable for making significant choices in the town, assembled under the most established baobab tree. Its contorted branches appear to droop with the heaviness of the earth. Shattering choice ahead. Our predecessors have consistently shown us the way in the midst of both congruity and conflict, said O, the oldest among them, his voice shaking like the last leaves of harvest. Time we should look for their insight to determine this emergency. All at once, Nia the prophet ventured into the circle, her eyes sparkling with a fire that appeared nearly extraordinary. I have spoken with the precursors. Neoa started her voice, a entrancing tune that quieted even the cicadas. They proposed a test, one that will uncover not simply the dad of youthful Tark, yet additionally the future head of our individuals. Mumbles spread through the committee, even among the elderly folks who had seen many harvests and many seasons. This was exceptional. The test proceeded with Nia will require every expected dad to embrace an excursion to the hallowed mountain. At its pinnacle lies a stone, not simply any stone, a moonstone, instilled with the insight of our precursors. The one who gets back with this stone will be considered the genuine dad and the predetermined leader of our town. An aggregate gas consumed the space. The sacrosanct mountain was a position of a large number, perils, wild monsters, slippery territory, or more, all profound preliminaries that could earn back the original investment. The most grounded will yet the committee of elderly folks realized there was no alternate way. After a snapshot of massive quietness, I talked. Then it is chosen each petitioner will go ahead at first light, 3 days. Thus may the precursors guide yous. As the board scattered, a kaleidoscope of feelings filled the town square, energy, dread, expectation, all woven together in an embroidery as unpredictable as life itself. Amina, holding Tar near her chest, felt a quiet confirmation wash over her. The predecessors had set the stage, and presently it ultimately depended on the men to demonstrate their mettle. Yet even she was unable to predict the exciting bends in the road that lay ahead, for the excursion to the sacrosanct mountain was one that would bring amazing disclosures, ones that would change the town and its kin in manners they had never envisioned. As sunrise broke 3 days after the fact, a feeling of eager quiet wrapped the town. The air was thick with the smell of consuming savvy, as incense surged from the homes, looking for the endowments of the precursors. For the excursion ahead, 6 men remained at the town square, each addressing an alternate family, guaranteeing Tear as their family. Their countenances were a material of feelings, enthusiasm, dread, and a stewing fervor that appeared to be practically tangible. Amina, supporting Tear in her arms, observed them unobtrusively. Her eyes met every one of theirs, a silent message that appeared to say, "May the best man win," with a blow of a horn and the beat of drums. The excursion started. Each man conveyed a bag filled with contributions, cola nuts, palm wine, and consecrated talismans to respect the spirits of the consecrated mountain. The way was loaded with challenges, both physical and magical waterways that turned like snakes, woodlands that murmured mysteries. What's more, buckles that reverberated with the chuckling. What's more, cries of failed to remember spirits anyway. The genuine test lay at the foot of the sacrosanct mountain. A stone-raised area remained there, engraved with antiquated runes that told stories of legends and divine beings, love and treachery. Next to the special raised area was a pool of water so clear it reflected their most profound fears and wants. As the men came to the raised area, a voice reverberated around them, a voice so ethereal it appeared to have a place with the mountain itself. Offer what you esteem most, and you might continue. The voice reverberated, swirling into the atmosphere with an implicit gravity. Individually, the men moved toward the raised area. Some offered gold, others treasures went down through ages. However, nothing happened. The way to the pinnacle stayed fixed, as though ridiculing their purposeless endeavors. At long last, it was Gino's turn. Gino was not the most well-off or the most grounded among them. However, he was known for his insight and lowliness. As opposed to putting an article on the special stepped area, he bowed and offered a request, a supplicate petition for the town, for Amina also, for the unborn ages, who might acquire the earth. As he completed the special raised area, shined a delicate brilliant light, and the way to the top opened up as though gathered by his genuineness, all W, and lowered. The men followed Django as he drove the way. The weight of their process appeared to be a bit lighter, the purpose somewhat more grounded, limited by the freshly discovered. Grasping that genuine initiative required more than just riches or strength. It required the insight of the heart. The climb up the holy mountain was not normal for some other climb. Each step appeared to be a dance between the natural and the heavenly, where actual effort met otherworldly illumination. The men felt their breaths develop more limited, however their faculties uplifted. Each rock, each whirlwind showed up saturated with genealogical insight. At long last, they arrived at the pinnacle, where the evening sky appeared to be inside arm's compass, gleaming stars taking the stand concerning this significant crossroads in the town's set of experiences. There it was, the moonstone, sparkling delicately in the twilight, as though throbbing with the heartbeat of the mountain itself. Gino moved toward the stone, first his hands shaking as he contacted its cool surface. The moonstone illuminated its gleam, heightening into a brilliant bar that shot up towards the sky, returning as an outpouring of light that encompassed him. Child of Kofi, a divine voice repeated, "You have demonstrated your value. This kid T is yours, and you are bound to lead your kin." Overpowered by feeling, Django tumbled to his knees, The ones who went with him were quiet lowered and aed by the disclosure, their earlier jealousy also, competition dispersing like morning fog as they slipped. The mountain. The town became visible, washed in the delicate sparkle of daybreak. The men felt unique, changed not simply by the disclosure, yet in addition by the actual excursion. It was as on the off chance that they had shedded layers of obliviousness also. Agu, uncovering new skins of shrewdness. Also, modesty when they showed up. The whole V had assembled, the pressure in the air, discernible an ocean of countenances, restless and eager. Gino ventured forward, holding the moonstone high, so that all might be able to see. The progenitors have spoken, he announced. I'm the dad of Tariq, and it is my fate to lead this town. An aggregate heave followed, then a thunder of cheers and ululations. The elderly folks nodded in endorsement. Their confidence in hereditary insight reaffirmed. Amina, with Tariq in her arms, strolled over to Gino. Their eyes met, and at that time, every one of the intricacies and difficulties appeared to dissolve away, leaving behind an unadulterated, implicit comprehension. As Gino took his child in his arms, for the first time the town emitted in a festivity. However, Amina realized that this was simply the starting. They had deflected an emergency and maybe even began a new part in their set of experiences. However, the genuine work lay ahead in bringing up a youngster bound to succeed sooner or later and driving a town towards flourishing. Yet with the moonstone as their directing light and genealogical insight in their souls, they were prepared to confront anything that difficulties lay ahead. Together, a few moons had passed since the day Django was pronounced the dad of Tariq. What's more, the future head of the town, a feeling of harmony and flourishing, appeared to have settled over the local area, a demonstration of the prescience predicted, or something like that. It appeared to be one unwavering night, as Amina was nursing Tark under the shadow of their family. Hovel, she heard a quieted discussion from behind the thick baobab tree that stood sentinel, like close to her home. You've done well, Django. The town doesn't expect anything, and the prediction shows up satisfied. The rough voice of Nia, the prophet, was undeniable. My heart is disturbed, Nia. We have tricked individuals who trust us, and I'm bringing up a child who isn't genuinely mine. Django's voice trembled with lament. Ah, yet you will be a savvy and kind ruler. Isn't that what's best for the town? A considerate duplicity, I call it. Nia answered, her tone chillingly easygoing. Yawa. Amina's heart sank. Disloyalty, like a secretive snake, had entered her nursery of trust as she taken a gander at Tariq. Honest and unmindful, a new purpose shaped to her. The residents could have been bamboozled, yet they merited reality, particularly when a future chief was being referred to, and her child, Tariq, had the right to know his valid legacy. Yet how might she uncover this scheme without diving the V into mayhem? By and by, Amina realized she needed to proceed cautiously. The moonstone, the very image of Gino's alleged authenticity, unexpectedly appeared to her like the lock to a mysterious that main the valid father could open as the town rested uninformed about the tempest that was discreetly fermenting. Amina started to concoct a strategy, a test so conclusive it would uncover the genuine dad without uncertainty or debate. However, first she needed to guarantee the moonstone validness, for assuming the moonstone was a piece of the duplicity, its enchanted power might in any case highlight the genuine dad, giving it was exposed to a custom known exclusively to the most illuminated sages. Thus, under the shroud of night, Amina set forward to counsel the main individual outside the town who could help her, the recluse, sage of the dark woodland. Amina's venture through the midnight woodland was laden with gambles, with stowed-away traps, nighttime hunters, and the ever-threatening haziness. Yet a mother's assurance has no limits. particularly at the point when the eventual fate of her youngster is in question. Profound inside the woodland, where antiquated trees appeared to contact the sky, Amina at long last arrived at the confined dwelling of the loner sage, with a long streaming facial hair and eyes that held the insight of ages. The sage invited her. "I have been expecting you, Amina." The sage started the backwoods, murmurs stories, and your predicament has not slipped through the cracks. Gathering her self-restraint, Amina told the sage everything: the introduction of Tariq, the excursion to the sacrosanct mountain, and the hard trick among Gino and Nia. "I look for reality-wise one," she finished up. "Might the moonstone, at any point, actually uncover Tark's actual dad?" The Ahmed sage stroked his facial hair insightfully. "Prior to talking, the moonstone is an old remnant of truth. Its power can be controlled. However, it can't be totally defiled. There exists a custom lost to time, however known to me, that can scrub the stone of any Daubla dealings trust ignited." In Amina's ease, as she listened eagerly to the Saja, "You should play out the custom of truth. The evening of the new moon, the moonstoning, washed in the hallowed waters of the murmuring lake and exposed to this custom, will sparkle as it were in the possession of the genuine dad, equipped with freshly discovered trust and the intricate directions from the recluse." Sage Amina said thanks to him and traveled back to the town, her heart beating with a combination of trust, dread, and expectation. She showed up not long previously, daybreak slipping once more into her home. Inconspicuous in her eyes was a gleam of resolve, for she realized what must be finished next: recover the moonstone from its watched safe haven and set it up for the custom of truth. The stakes were out of this world. Assuming she succeeded, the whole town would at last know reality. However, if she bombed, she gambled not simply her own notoriety, however the very harmony and concordance that presently covered her local area. As she laid Tari back into his den, she checked out at her child, his little face, tranquil in rest, totally uninformed of the unrest encompassing his young life. The new moon was only 3 evenings away, and Amina knew that the future of her family and her town would be unalterably adjusted by what the moonstone would uncover or what it would neglect to. As the new moon approach moved toward, Amina felt time packed, each second stacked with looming disclosure or tragic outcome. She had figured out how to circumspectly secure the moonstone from its asylum with the help of a thoughtful God who accepted as she continued looking for truth. Now it lay stowed away underneath the sections of flooring of her hovel, beating as though mindful of its fast approaching job. At long last, the evening of the new moon shone up with Tar securely snoozing and Django away at a gathering meeting. Amina seized her chance. She uncovered the moonstone and set off towards Murmuring Lake, a separated waterway said to have purging energies. Shrouded in haziness, her heart beating in sin, with her means, Amina arrived at the lake and started the custom of truth. She lowered the moonstone into the water, presenting the antiquated chants the loner sage had bestowed to her as the last syllable left her lips. The moonstone shined a delicate white light, enlightening the dull waters. Briefly, Amina felt a wave of energy cause through her, as though the spirits of the lake murmured their endorsement. With the moonstone currently purged also, actuated, she got back to the town, all her means shadowed by both expectation and fear. This evening, the town would assemble for the blowout of precursors, an evening of festivity. Yet for Amina, a night that would demonstrate the veracity of either her definitive justification or her most profound shame. At the gala, as the townspeople moved and sang, Amina uncovered the moonstone, guaranteeing it had been additionally engaged by the spirits for an extraordinary gift. The group, high on shared intensity and interest, was anxious to witness the display. According to the old writs, let every potential dad hold the stone. Amina declared, her voice faithful. The genuine dad of Tariq will initiate its light individually. The men came up, each grasping the moonstone firmly. Yet the stone stayed dormant, its light faint, as though keeping its power at last. It was Django's turn. The group held its aggregate breath. Django held the stone. Furthermore, it gleamed, however, didn't completely enlighten mumble, moved throughout the swarm, transforming into shouts of shock and disarray. Before anybody could talk, a voice emitted from the backstand. By the stone talks, not simply to the hands that hold it, however, to the eyes that meet it. Amina viewed the stone. It was Nia, her eyes glimmering with a curious blend of dread and energy. Amina lifted her look to meet Django her eyes, then dropping to the moonstone. At that point, the stone glinted brutally, and afterward went dull. Heaves consumed the atmosphere. Gino's face turned powder-colored. Amina's eyes met the group's, and in that second, they all realized Django was not the genuine dad. The quietness was broken by Nia's deranged chuckling. You see, even the best laid plans vacillate before the desire of the spirits. In the repercussions of the bombed custom, the town was consumed by an unstable blend of incredulity, outrage, and pressing interest. The elderly folks called for fire committee meeting, its environment accused of pressure, thicker than the sticky night air. Nia was quick to talk, her voice dribbling with a mix of disappointment and disclosure. My kindred locals, we've been entrapped in a snare of misdirection. The spirits have spoken through the moonstone. Django isn't the genuine dad anyway. This ought to be a period of arousing, not division. The board emitted into a racket of contention and allegations. At long last, the main senior Mbaka rose, his deep-rooted astuteness directing quiet sufficient. He blast. The familial spirits are not satisfied with our imprudence. We should look for reality and not let division destroy us. Going to Amina, he said, "You've conjured the spirits and uncover a horrible truth. What do you propose?" "We do now." Amina's voice was firm. "I propose another custom, one that can't be altered. Let each man in the town approach and make a familial vow by the waterway of truth. There they will pronounce their paternity, and the waterway a heavenly observer will uncover the valid father." The gathering concurred, setting the custom for the accompanying sunrise. Nobody rested that evening, their dreams upset by murmurs of outrage. What's more, winds of change, as the principal light of sunrise broke the town assembled by the waterway of truth, its waters said to have been favored by the divine beings. Individually, the men made the familial vow, swearing their blamelessness or culpability. At last, it was Django's turn. He ventured forward, his eyes meeting Amina's. At that time, Amina saw a glint of something. Was it lament, or maybe a quiet supplication for pardoning? Jen-O plunged his hand into the stream, gravely discussing the promise. As he talked, the waters around his hand turned unfavorably, however didn't change tone, the indication of an honest promise. The group was in tension, anticipating a heavenly sign. Just then, at that point, a cry emitted from the rear of the assembling. Everyone's eyes went to see a youthful man. Mazi shudder as the waters around his lowered hand turned a brilliant gold, the irrefutable indication of truth perceived in divine customs. Mazi, child of Oko Senior Mbaka, declared, "You are the genuine dad of Tariq, as proclaimed by the stream of truth and aggregate." Wismavid throughout the group. Mazi was quite possibly of the most isolated men in the town, known for his tranquil nature and seldom associated with collective undertakings. As Mazi reluctantly ventured forward, Amina's eyes met his. In that concise association, she saw blazes of uprightness and earnestness, qualities she had longed for, yet not tracked down. Up to this point, the disclosure of Mazi as the genuine dad shook the very underpinnings of the town. Mumbles reverberated among the group as Mazi moved toward Amina and Tariq, his eyes full of lowliness and a tranquil sort of solidarity. Senior Mbaka ventured forward, his presence quieting the group. "The stream of truth has spoken. Mazi is the dad, and we should respect this heavenly decision." He looked towards Django and Nia, his eyes restricting. With respect to the people who misled us, they will confront the Board of Seniors for their activities. Maisie had his spot, next to Amina and Tariq. At that time, M felt another section in their lives was going to start one set, apart by genuineness, regard and love, things that had been so ailing in her new past. As the legitimate dad, I will do my best to satisfy this obligation, Maisie announced, his voice touched with veritable purpose. The residents scattered their hearts and brains beating with a mix of alleviation, interest, and waiting question. The climate was electric, and a feeling of expectation swirled into the atmosphere. It was evident that things could never be the same again. That night, the Chamber of Older Folks met in a crisis meeting to talk about the destiny of Gino and Nia. The chamber was tense as elderly folks gauged the ramifications of their choice. At long last, they showed up at a decision. Gino was deprived of his title and status, ordered to perform public help. As the indication of amends, Nia was expelled from her job as prophet, her situation to be filled by another diviner, picked through divine counsel. Both confronted the town the following day to openly apologize for their duplicity. There was an obvious demeanor of shame around them, yet in addition, an undercurrent of misfortune. An update that indeed, even all-around planned activities can prompt terrible results when they stray from the way of truth. The prophetic words that Tariq was destined to lead appear to be emerging as the town thrived unexpectedly. Crops yielded more, debates among locals diminished, and a freshly discovered solidarity flourished indeed. Even Gino, lowered by his public shame, tracked down a way to reclamation. Through, however, genuine compensation, and Nia, deprived of her title, started a peaceful life of reflection. Her insight no more blended with control in this manner, in a town that had been deeply impacted. Another sunrise, arisen more splendid, Xavier, and loaded with guarantee. While difficulties would, without a doubt, emerge, the local area had been invigorated by the indispensable excellencies of truth and solidarity, and that made all the contrast. Thus, Amina, Maisie, and Tariq remained at the limit of a promising new life, their hearts lined up with the persevering through insight that reality, once uncovered, has the ability to recuperate. Remarkable and envoy a more promising time to come. Thank you for following this charming story. Now and again, the way to truth is contorted and steep, yet it's an excursion worth taking, for reality liberates us. Assuming you partook in this story, kindly feel allowed to drop a like, and furthermore, buy into the channel with the goal that you won't miss out on more fascinating stories like this.